In this video, we're going to talk about two loan options. Over on the left-hand side, we're going to calculate monthly payment when the payment is taken out at the end of the period or the beginning of the period. And for loan option number 2, we're going to calculate the interest rate that would be at the end of the period or the beginning of the period. Remember, the period could be months, as in both of these examples, or it could be in quarters, weekly, however way it's working out. So if it's at the end of the period, which is normal monthly payments, that means that at the end they'll calculate your loan payment, and then they'll calculate interest. At the beginning of the period, they will calculate the loan payment and the interest first, and then calculate the interest. So the first one we will do equal PMT, so we're looking for the payment. Wants to know the rate, so remember we always take the interest rate, which in this instance is B7, and we divide it by the number of payments per year, which is 12. Here we have the 12 listed. If we didn't have 12 listed, then we could exchange B9 for 12. So hit comma. Now the NPER, you can see where we are right here. This is the number of periods in the loan, and that is the length of the loan, which is B8, times number of payments per year, which is B9, comma. And then we want the present value. Now, since this is something that has been taken out of our account, we need to have present value be negative. So we'll do negative, and then B6. And we hit comma if we need to. We're not going to actually right here because this is the end of the period, and that's where type is 0. So we'll just do it. So we'll hit comma. We have no future value, so we'll just hit comma again. And then we have at the end of the period or the beginning of the period. So we'll just specify end of the period. It's not necessary to do that, but you can do that. So then we will close the parenthesis and we'll hit enter. So for our monthly payment, that the interest is calculated at the end will be $28.07. So now we'll do the same thing. I didn't make anything absolute, so I'll have to recreate it from scratch. Good experience. So we'll type in equal PMT. So we have the rate, which is B7 divided by the number of payments per year, B9. This is where a lot of folks mess up. They just put in 6.25 or the interest rate, and that is considered monthly. The number of payments will be the term of the loan, how many years it's going to be. That'll be B8 times the number of payments per year, which will be 12. Now these have to be the same. So we'll do comma, and we will do, we're at the present value, so that's the loan amount, so that'll be minus B6, comma. Now we don't have a present value, so since this is optional, you'll see it's got brackets around it. We can skip it simply by hitting another comma. Now in this instance, we want it at the beginning of the period, so we will hit 1 and then close our parenthesis and hit enter. And you'll notice that it's a little bit less than at the end of the period. So that's the idea of doing monthly payments at the end of the period or the beginning of the period. Most loans, unless you're told otherwise, will be at the end of the periods. Most investments, again, unless you're told otherwise, will be at the end of the period. But it just shows you how you can use that. All right, well, let's do the interest rate. We'll just do it for the end of the period. So we'll do equal, and then the function we're going to work with is rate. And we'll accept that. So the number of payments, this one happens to have 8 years. So we'll do E8 times number of payments per year, which is E9, comma. The payment will be, let me verify that is, let me get my notes here. That'll just simply be E7. When you're doing a rate or a number of periods, only one, either the payment or the present value needs to be entered. So hit comma, and then we'll do negative E6. We're not going to worry about anything else, so we'll just close our parenthesis. And if we hit enter, you'll see that we have 0.471%. Now remember, the interest rate, whether we are using it as we did over here in the monthly rate, monthly payment, I'm sorry, or over here, that's the periodic. So what I want to do is I want to enter, I want to edit this, and I want to multiply it because I want to know what the annual interest rate is. So we'll do multiply by the number of payments per year, or you could do 12 if you want, and then we'll hit enter. So this will be the annual interest rate. So we'll do the one now at the beginning of the period, so rate. The number of periods will be E8 times E9, comma. Payment will be E7, comma, and then negative for the present value, which is E6, comma. There is no future value. The assumption is that when this is paid off, it's 0, so we'll just hit a comma again. And then the type, this is going to be calculated at the beginning, so we'll put 1, close our parenthesis, and then multiply, because again, we want to find the yearly interest rate, and we'll just do times, like I did over here, times E9, and I'll hit enter. So there's the difference between the two, between the interest rates beginning or the end of the period to get this monthly payment. So that is our first loan analysis, where we are actually calculating monthly payment at the beginning or the end of the period and the interest rate at the beginning or the end of the period.